What is up, RotoGrinders? Dean here. That's Dean 7904. If you want to get a technical, intimate show today, it was a 4-gamer. It became even smaller as we're going on air because we're down to 3. No Cleveland, no Detroit. We're going to go game by game. Take you guys straight up the lock. Of course, we're going to yield to crunch time around 6:40 or so. I think Kirkwood was late swapped out. Late swapped in is Squirrelpatrol. You got Squirrelpatrol and TastefulTides. Tim, he's really, really good when it comes to single entry max contest, cash game contest. Not sure if he's playing cash game tonight in the 3-gamer, but definitely want to check him out. Also, you have chief meteorologist Kevin Roth, who probably has been banging back and forth as far as trying to figure out what's going on with this Cleveland game. And there you go. He got the reprieve. No longer having to dig in there because Cleveland officially washed out. He'll be hosting that. Anything else precipitation-wise, wind-wise? Ross, actually, what he's been doing right now, Bobby, is that the tournament going down this weekend in San Diego. A lot of the guys that are out there I saw – Dave Potts, Cheese is Good, is heading out there. So Big T was heading out there talking about San Diego. And San Diego, always the best weather, right? Apparently there's a hurricane out there lurking. Yeah, imagine that. Terrible, terrible timing. Obviously, hopefully everybody's safe on the West Coast there. But what's up, Bobby? How are things? We got a stretch today. Any anecdotes you have, by all means, do share them.
It's actually funny about the San Diego situation because at the live final for the NBA, I was talking to one of the higher ups at Draftkings, and they were planning on doing it in Pittsburgh. And I was like, I think you guys should do this in San Diego, better weather. But they ended up changing it to San Diego. Like, he's a good friend. He hit someone up, and he was like, yeah, I think we should do San Diego. And they all agreed on it. And now they're in San Diego in a hurricane. So
I'll give you this.
I might have mushed them, to be perfectly honest.
Just like I did the Mackenzie Gore yesterday, man, taking a big, big L from Mackenzie Gore. If you guys, hopefully you listen to Squirrel.
I've seen people tweeting about that. People didn't want to play Gore yesterday, really?
I didn't play him. Yeah. I mean, it's a whole thing to get into. And we care about today and today only, obviously. But we have time to discuss yesterday. Just that Washington, they went through a 6-man rotation. They're openly talking about how they don't want to push Gore. Gore, long injury history. It's a lost season. The thing is, he was incredibly efficient. That he had like 60 pitches for the first 5 or 6 innings, and Boston was, dare I say, gutless. And he was racking up some Ks as well too. And yeah, he was spectacular and good for him. I think he might have left the game due to something. I saw a note. I don't know what it was exactly. Maybe it was an injury late on. Hopefully, it's nothing serious. But just the angle was that Washington knows the season's over and they're not going to push him too hard going forward. But he was just breezing through that terrible, terrible Boston lineup. By the way, we have producer Devin joining us today. He's actually going to be chiming in throughout the show. He's taking notes, Bobby. Maybe he might be more prepared than us. He told me pre-show. He was like,
I got to crumple up a couple of those papers, not relevant anymore, which, by the way, I'm a bit of an elitist here, Dean. We just got the RG notification. So that is confirmed, postponed. So there you go.
Confirmation that we have lost Cleveland and Detroit. Just like Dave Potts, Devin. Dave Potts likes to go old school, writing down the notes. And you're a little bit younger than Potts, right?
That was a joke. I'm actually using the Notes app on my computer.
Oh, I didn't see you doing air quotes. I wasn't looking. Were you doing air quotes before?
No, there weren't air quotes. No.
Okay.
I just led you into that one.
I took you at face value, but yeah, you're not taking notes.
I was at one time. I was using my what's the brand, the composition notebook. I was blowing through those one every slate.
Yeah, I'm a lefty, so they're anti-lefty. At least when after I got out of school, I think eventually I heard about, apparently they make right-handed or left-handed spiral notebooks. Remember those spiral notebooks?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've suffered a lot of injuries through the years to my arm.
I was going to say it's a righty's world.
There was not a leftorium open by me, unfortunately, in the mall. I could not find one. Thousands of miles. There's not a Springfield anywhere in Florida, but so unfortunately I could not find that. But yeah, when was the last time, Bobby? Do you still write stuff? I feel like I can't even write. I when it's somebody's birthday or a wedding, and it's oh no, I forgot how to do this competently. That was a disaster as is, even when I was in my prime.
Yeah, I feel the same way. I'm never using pen or pencil or anything anymore, right? It's pretty much all typing.
We might have time to do a handwriting test here on the show today. See who's got the most chicken scratch.
I may or may not have had a stand-in, saying, "Hey, do me a favor, can you write this note for me?" I've had somebody do it. It's just not my thing anymore, in cursive. When was the last time you wrote in cursive? I can't tell you. 20 years for me, probably, at least. Devin, you rolled the eyes.
It's
there.
been a while. Yeah, no, I don't think so. I think I put it away because it started getting too sloppy. I started just like getting too quick with it, and it was doctor handwriting immediately.
Yeah. All right. These are the things we talk about, I suppose, as we're diving in on the 3-gamer. I'm actually pulling up my pages. This is why we're a few minutes late. We apologize for being a few minutes late. Of course, we are planning to be late, 5:30, because of the small slate. We are stretching up to 7:15, assuming that the Crunch Times has questions all the way up to lock. You want to fire up your questions, and there's a Discord channel when Crunch Time comes in. That's RotoGrinders.com/Discord, the live stream chat channel. And I'm pulling up my pages as well as far as, I guess, Lineup HQ. They're kind of scrambling. If you thought Lance Lynn was highly owned before, just wait. It's going to get even higher for sure. There are 6 professional, I use that word loosely, I suppose, 6 professional pitchers throwing baseballs tonight. You got to roster 2 of them on DK. Man, Adam Wainwright, it's so sad what's happened, but this is the nature where how did I write it up today in the survey? This is how I put it, Bobby, and we'll talk about it. We're going to break it down game by game. And you know what? I lost that page because I had to reset everything. All my notes are gone. I have to go off the dome, off the brain. We got to figure this out on the fly.
You could just pull out the composition notebook if you had written this stuff down, Dean.
Devin, I don't know what that is. I know what notes is on my Mac. I don't know what composition notebook is, but it's probably something I should investigate as we move on through. But yeah, we're gonna go game by game, Bobby. We'll do that in a second. Before give me just the overview before we kind of dive in, because it's straightforward on paper, right? But it's baseball and wonky things happen, and you want to bet on extreme wonkiness when there's the 3 games to play with. You're shooting for the top, especially for large scale contests, especially those that have a 30% payout up top, that kind of thing. So I'm curious your thought process when it comes to tonight's the 3-gamer now.
Yeah, it's interesting. Leaving salary is definitely going to be part of my repertoire in terms of how I'm building within Lineup HQ. Around the industry and the bat, it seems like everyone's kind of on the Mets. The pitching was pretty much the optimal was Tarek Skubal and Lance Lynn. We're removing Tarek Skubal now because that game is canceled, and it's basically a 3-gamer. So like Devin said, or I think it might have been you, Dean, Lance Lynn chalk is about to explode. And then we're going to get tweets later on when Lance Lynn pitches all right. And everyone's like, oh, 80% Lance Lynn pitched well on a 3-gamer.
Victory lap.
How did I lose? You know what I mean? I don't know. Maybe you might just have to play Lance Lynn tonight. You know what I mean? I don't know. It's not the worst thing all the time. But, yeah, I don't know. For me, now I kind of like St. Louis bats a little more. Was interested in some Detroit guys. It's not the greatest slate, but we got to make do with what's due. And everyone kind of has the same, playing with the same stuff. So we'll have to figure it out.
Yeah, I just I'm rerunning Lineup HQ stuff as well. I'm just kind of setting Detroit and Cleveland players at 0, and I did put a cap on it. Yeah, Lynn is getting 75% on DK. I think it's my cap essentially. Gowan 45, Rich Hill 42%, Corbin Burns 30%. Poor Adam Wainwright still doesn't get a percentage. Not one share of Adam Wainwright. Jose Quintana does hit a few lineups for what it's worth, but
rightfully so. I don't think Wainwright should show up in any. Even on a 3-gamer.
It's so it's such a bummer. It's been so bad, but we'll talk. But that's the thing. It's Jose. It's the ineptitude, the horribleness, the dustiness of Adam Wainwright versus how gutless the Mets have been. The Mets have been the most disappointing team in the entire season. They've also lost pieces along the way. This lineup they're rolling out today is not spectacular, especially the back end. There's some power in it. It's cheap as well, but. Yeah, going to be an interesting conversation. That is the very first game on the slate here. 7:15 is the start, 10.5 is the total. Wainwright. By the way, it's a pick'em essentially. That says a lot about Jose Quintana, I think, as well, in that Mets lineup, I suppose. But yeah, the Mets are just minus 120 at St. Louis. Wainwright still in search of that 199th career win. I still think part of the reason why they keep rolling him out there every single day is just because they theoretically would love to get him to 200 because 200 feels a lot cooler than 198 before he retires, I guess. But had that potential Hall of Fame resume, although he's probably hurting his Hall of Fame resume by doing what he's been doing the last couple months or so. It's so sad to watch it. When they take the ball out of his hands, after an inning in the third, he takes the saddest walk off the mound. But yeah, all right, Mets, Cardinals, game by game here, Bobby. 10.5 is the total. that is the highest total on the board by 2 runs. The team total currently for St. Louis is over 5.11, 5.39 for the Mets. Again, the Mets slight favorites here. They are going to be crazy, crazy popular. What's the plan here, Bobby? We're running out a bunch of lineups tonight. 150. We have a meeting.
150 for me on in this game. It's like Mets righties. You pretty much Adam Wainwright 293 ISO over the last 30 days to right-handed bats. 490 Woba. Give me all the Pete Alonso, all the Francisco Alvarez, all the Lindor. Obviously, he's hitting from the other side. I'll take Lindor as probably my third favorite Met, even though he's from the left side of the plate. The Mets lineup, though, it isn't the greatest, but I don't know. For me, it's just like getting to these Mets righties, I think makes a ton of sense.
Why are you saying just righties? Wainwright is
pretty much everyone. But
yeah.
I shouldn't just left it to righties. You could also hit Nimmo, obviously at the top of the order there. McNeil. I was just going off how I had them ranked. Vogelbach, even the 5-hole, he's going to walk pretty much the majority of the time, but maybe Wainwright's someone he can take deep. Would be differentiated from basically how first base is people are going to go Alonso. They're going to go Freeman, maybe to differentiate and go Vogelbach in the 5th hole. I still want to play as much Alonso as possible. DJ Stewart. Yeah, this whole Mets team's in play versus Wainwright. Shouldn't have just relegated it to right-handed bats, but I was prioritizing getting Alonso.
I think Stewart, once upon a time, was a really big prospect. Yeah, former first rounder in 2015. He's now 29 years old, so the prospect status is basically gone. But I think he has, not really. I thought the power is kind of played up, but not really, not even the minors. I guess I have his base MLB stuff for Baltimore briefly. But he's super, super cheap, and he's facing Wainwright. He's perfectly fine. I think one of the interesting conversations with the Mets, probably more so on DK than on Fanduel, but you can roster them both. But Vogelbach versus the polar bear, Alonso. Alonso obviously better. You mentioned Vogelbach is super patient, 13.7% walks in the season. But again, he's really cheap. How are you handling that? Are you thinking about maybe going over on Vogelbach because people are going to want Alonso? I think playing them both on Fanduel is kind of interesting. It's a different build that, throw one in the utility spot if you're hand building. What's your thought process when it comes to the first baseman specifically for New York?
Yeah, so for me, it's going to be majority Alonso. I think you could get to Vogelbach. I want to get a lot of Freddie Freeman too. So, my first base, it's pretty much those three. I guess you make a case for Christian Walker. I'll probably be as over as I can get on Vogelbach, but I'm not going to push it probably more than 2x. How high owned is he going to be? Is he going to be crazy high owned, I would imagine.
Well, you're talking about Vogelbach, or you're talking about
8%? 8%. Yeah, I could get to Vogelbach at 16, or maybe I could just play him at the field, but I'd rather play him at 16.
So I think we're waiting on an update. Okay, it's 543 as far as our update. Our ownership is 545, so I assume we threw out the Detroit-Cleveland game.
Yeah, there's no projections for any of the guys in that game.
Okay, good. They're on top of it. So the Mets, we're getting the highest projected own guy. I was going to guess it's going to be Lindor because the position, the scarcity there, shortstop is pretty rough, and that leads to another interesting conversation just kind of on the whole. First base is kind of loaded. You mentioned Alonso, Goldie on the other side of this game, Walker, who's been crazy hot, Freeman, if you want to run him against Burns, you can do that. And, Carlos Santana seems like one of the most interesting tournament plays. We'll get to him soon enough just because, he's the 5th or 6th best first baseman, and he's facing the most popular pitcher on the slate. He's fine. He's not spectacular, but for tournaments, I'm going to be playing some Santana. We'll get to that soon enough. As of right now, Bobby, we're looking at, Nimmo getting 40% ownership on DK, Lindor at 36, DJ Stewart at 31. Seems pretty high. McNeil at 30%. He's is he one of those only in stacks guys? Generally, he's an only in stacks guy, I think, 7, 8, 9, 10 game slate. But on a 3-gamer, maybe you loosen that up a little bit.
Yeah, I think you can loosen it up on a 3-gamer. I absolutely cannot stand Jeff McNeil. He's been terrible for me all year. He did hit a home run the other night when I wasn't playing. I saw that it came across the ticker. But yeah, Jeff McNeil, I think he doesn't have to be in stacks tonight just because of the nature of the slate being 3 games.
Yeah, I always point to him as you hear announcers say a guy is a professional hitter, and he's one of those guys that pops in my head. He's not, and it's rarely a compliment. nobody ever says like Ronald Acuna is a professional hitter. Of course he's a professional hitter. He's like the greatest professional hitter. But like they never say it about the best hitters. They say about a guy who's just like kind of like gives you a good at bat. It works a count and maybe grounds out in the ninth pitch or something like that. His ISO is 100. WOBA is 303. He's a contact guy. He's not going to take a walk, and he's facing Wainwright, hitting third. Traditionally, he's a guy that like he's almost never going to break the slate, like you said, except for the one time you don't roster him. But I'm willing to roster him today. Good cash game piece if we're playing cash games today. But
Dean, you got a question in chat. Michael wants to know, this might be hard to answer without contest size, but if you're like Bobby and making 150 lineups, do you loosen hitters versus your pitchers? And if so, how much?
Yeah, it's funny you say that because one of the things I wrote about in the survey today is that I absolutely am willing to roster a Brewer or two against Lance Lynn, and Lance Lynn's going to be super popular again. I'm not sure the ownership is now adjusted to with so few pitchers, but probably 60% plus, give or take. And this is a guy who's given up more than 2 homers per 9 in the season, right? And there's a world where he gives up 2 home runs and strikes out 8 and is optimal. And like, to me, that's the clearest, most obvious spot. And if you want to really get frisky, just make yourself a Milwaukee stack and just not play Lynn, or you can play 2 or 3 against him. So I have no issues with that. I'm sure there's other spots we can talk about. Like I'm not rostering Wainwright and then rostering a couple Mets against him. I'm not doing that. But Bobby, I'm curious what your thoughts are because I'm doing this by hand. I can't.
For me, I don't
mind
it. I don't mind it at all on a 3-game slate, right? You can batter versus pitcher. I'm fine with it. I wouldn't stack. I don't think that's the way to go about it. But yeah, you can definitely have a bat versus your pitcher in this scenario.
Yeah, I'll roster 2 if I can. I mean, I'm not going to force it, but I'm okay with rostering 2.
I think two is a good line, in my opinion.
Yeah, 2 is fine. At most 2, if they hit. If it hits, it hits.
But the thing is, like, you never really know how the slate's going to go. But we can have 3 games that are all sort of like 6-4, 3-5. I don't know why I'm giving the lower score first, but go with it.
Don't tell Pepsi.
And 2-5, and like maybe 2 homers or 3 homers, and like you just pick off a couple homers, and that's not easy to do. But if you kind of fall into them, it could be just a completely uneventful night. You don't have to put up a 200 score. You just got to beat everybody else, right? And maybe it's just one of those days where it's just pretty uneventful. Devin, you got your notes. Do you have anything as far as the Mets, as far as Wainwright's? What's popping for you as far as the Mets lineup?
I think then this might be a tough kind of thing to stick to with how small the slate is, but like generally, if I were to see a team as chalky as the Mets, I would probably force mini stacks only in tournaments as a way to limit my full overall exposure to the team. I don't know if I'm going to be necessarily able to stick to something like that on a 3-game slate. But yeah, they look like a great team to stack. Obviously, Wainwright's not somebody I want to play at all.
So
what is a mini stack? Is it 2?
I'm actually with Devin on this. I think this is good GTO.
Just like it's, I would do max of 3, and I would allow mini stacks of 3 players or 2 players or one-offs. But I would not. Let's see. Let me take a look at the Mets lineup here, because I know. Yeah, I'd probably like allow like the least owned players to show up as one-offs, just for you getting exposure to somebody that is not going to be as owned on that team. But generally, all of them are going to be only in stacks.
Yeah. Did you want to complete that thought, Bobby? It sounds like you're on board with what Devin's trying to sell.
Yeah, I'm on board with it just because the Mets are hitting every optimal around the industry. And yeah, I'm looking in plate IQ, and like some of the righties, like the main guy that sticks out to me is Alonso. This lineup isn't insane. Like obviously, who knows? Maybe Wainwright gets his win tonight. Gets him to 199, or just he's a professional pitcher, Wainwright, right? So maybe he pitches around contact and they don't blow him up. Maybe you still need some Mets, but maybe the 5-man doesn't get there, and that's where everyone's kind of building towards. So, yeah, I think that's a good move.
Yeah, I'm just kind of running down what we have as far as ownership. All these guys in the lineup, and what's your thought? Is I was throwing out as far as Lindor, and we kind of mentioned at first base. There's a ton of competition if you're going through every single lineup. First base tonight, right, Bobby? We got Freeman, we have Walker and Goldie. Santana's perfectly fine. Vogelbach on the same team there. It's pretty tough competition for a 3-gamer. and then kind of get into Lindor, we're talking about shortstops, and it's Tommy Edman, okay, sure. Bogarts, Willie Adames, interesting play against Lynn, seems like an all or nothing type. But the most popular play, and the very clear and obvious play, is Lindor. He's getting 44%. You think you're going to be over that? You're going to be under that? Or, again, before the slate starts, if you're playing cash games, looks like a phenomenal play, but maybe something you want to consider getting under on it.
I'm going to be, I think I'm going to be over on Lindor.
Okay.
Actually, no, maybe like I see Perdomo. He's not getting, there's ways you can, 44%, maybe they'll be at the field on Lindor. I don't know. We're just going through it. So
yeah. That's just you're probably not finalized, right? Especially, I'm assuming you're scrambling a little bit with Detroit and Cleveland being gone. So
I still haven't reran optimal since the Detroit news.
I can
Devin,
I'll fire that up on the screen share.
You're making 20 lineups tonight, Devin? Is that normally what you do?
Yeah, generally. I was messing around with some single entry, three entry max for a little while, but I'm back on the 20 entry max train.
You got bored making the single entry lineups, or just want to change things up?
Land on one or two teams, Dean. I want 10% of everybody.
Yeah, it's a struggle. It really is.
I want to burn it up on the dance floor,
Yeah. Other thoughts when it comes to the Mets? I'm trying to see. I didn't officially say hello to the chat. I'm seeing their comments. What's up, chat? Kindly hit that like button and do subscribe and turn on those notifications. Do all those things so we can keep the proverbial lights on. Let's see. What have I missed here? Devin, did you read the chat and did Brian cue you up with the burning up the dance floor reference? How did you know you were going to say that?
May or may not have happened.
Was that subliminally? He just suggested that?
I'll be honest. I'm surprised your radar didn't pick that up. Anytime somebody asks for somebody to say something, slip a phrase into the show, you're the first one to be like, yes. Thought for sure you would have been able to see that.
Oh, that reminds me. Yeah, I do have one of those in my back pocket. I got to unleash at some point and see if you can pick up on it later on in the show. Just nobody in the RG world, but somebody has sort of mentioned to me, for no particular reason. Yeah, throw that one out there tomorrow. I'm like, okay, I'll do that. I'll try to. And I see you're trolling me in the chat, Devin, about me not caring about Wainwright's win stats. Yes.
But you don't care about the cycle. You care about the 200th career win stat for Adam Wainwright. But the cycle, don't you talk about that.
I think St. Louis cares about it, and I think Wainwright cares about it. I guess. I don't know why else. Maybe they just don't have the heart to tell him and red tag his locker and just tell him to go home. But it's been a rough season.
Can we agree that neither of them are the bee's knees?
Did somebody else suggest this in chat?
Dean, that was the same message.
Oh, I only got the back end of it. Who is the bee's knees? What is the origin of that saying, Devin? This is something you'd probably be on top of.
Why would I be on top of that? A phrase you love to say, before my time. That one is way before my time.
You're like a throwback, though. I feel like you would have
I didn't go to any sock hops, Dean.
I feel like you were off the trolley. I feel like you would have thrived in the 40s, much more so than I would have. I don't know why.
I'll have my newspaper screaming at people as they walk by.
Somebody in chat was asking about let's see. Oh, Tim is hanging out in chat. He's trying to steal our good takes. Tim's going to be on later. He's saying I was filibustering. These are off the dome. I had the whole filibuster written out, and then I had to throw it away because I had to restart my computer. And I'm told you apparently there's a way to save this. The kids know how to save it these days, Devin, with notes. You got to send me a link for that. And they also want Squirrel's take when it comes to pitching. Well, guess what? You're in luck, assuming you're patient. Squirrel Patrol will be on in about 45 minutes or so. And I don't know what he could really come up with today.
Don't worry. He's got the goods. Shout out to Billy. Yeah, in chat. Is that what you were referencing, Dean? Billy in chat took down the MLB bunt on Fanduel last night by 20 points.
Wow, that's pretty impressive.
Thanks for your guys' advice every night.
Congratulations, Billy.
You built those lineups, Billy. We just helped.
Yeah. I don't want to take credit for it. Just like you can't yell at me for clicking the wrong button. You click that button. I don't need any sort of credit. Just this is you. What does it say in your Twitter profile, Bobby? The person who made, you use a certain term, making the most popular lineup of all time, the most discussed lineup of all time. What does your Twitter profile say, Bobby?
I think you're muted.
He's on mute.
I don't know what it says at the top, off the top of my head, Dean. I'm sorry, my kid's losing his mind. That's why I was on mute.
Dean,
like
it's funny you say that, Dean. I actually just saw this earlier today. I was looking at Bobby's Twitter profile. I saw you had the Batman image over your head on the banner. Are you a big Batman fan? I don't think I've ever known that
I'm a
about
Batman
you.
guy, yeah. I definitely like Batman.
Can you power rank the Batmans for me? Like as far as the actors, do you get off the dome?
You like this thing? I'm gonna see how much you like this thing.
What's do you really like, Michael Keaton?
I'm a big Bale guy. I'm a big
Bale?
Yeah.
I think
Is
Bale's
Bale
the
a
chalk.
bad Batman?
Is Bale the chalk, Devin?
I would imagine so. Yeah. I mean,
Michael Keaton.
I just watched them. Yeah, I mean, Keaton was great. Yeah, and
We're
Derek
old
in chat
heads,
saying
yeah.
the same thing. Keaton was great. I actually just rewatched all the Batman Begins series or movies. They were, it's a trim movie. I'll say there is not a lot of fat on that movie. It is just, it's a good one.
You're talking about the 3 Nolan movies, or all of them? Going back to
but
we're talking about.
I went back and watched all of them, but I think the one I'm specifically talking about was the third one with Bane. I think that it's a good movie, just all around. They don't mess around in that movie.
It starts right
all
off the gate in
3.
an airplane, right? Is that the airplane one?
Mhm.
I think it is. Yeah. Yeah, that Christopher Nolan is really, really good at what he does. By the way, what I was going with, Bobby, is the architect of the most impactful lineup built. That's what I was looking for.
It's true. Listen to my high stakes interview I did with Neil the other day. Well, it's not true. It's not like it's my perspective. I think it's legitimate. I think I have a case.
Well, I don't know. It's somebody.
If you listen to it, you'll hear my case.
Yesterday. So I think you've been unseated by. I'm sorry. Who won the bunt yesterday? They might have taken you over. It was a good run though, Bobby.
All right.
But they're really trying to get cute in chat, talking about playing Pedro Avila.
I was trying to find him. Yeah,
he's like a middle reliever, I believe, for I want to say San Diego. I don't know if he's like, he's 4K, and the expectation is that Rich Hill doesn't pitch particularly well, and he's going to kind of be their long man. That's interesting. An interesting thought process. I have not got to that thought, but is he the guy that would theoretically come in if we can find somebody, Bobby, like in theory, that we think they can go like 2 or 3 innings out of the pen? Is that worth rostering today?
Why are we not just it's a 3-game slate? Let's just go Rich Hill. Let's not make it too difficult. Rich Hill. We don't have a ton of options here, guys. It's not like we're going to reinvent the wheel, unless you want to play Wainwright versus the Mets, which I don't. But yeah, I don't know. Rich Hill.
Well, you don't want to play Rich Hill. Like you're going to, but you don't want to.
I'm going to. I don't want to. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I don't want to.
Talking about the backup pitcher method, Derek in chat's looking for the backup long man for STL. We're not playing Wayno, but maybe somebody behind him.
yeah. I'm going to pull it up in a second, but yeah,
I'm like a complete galaxy brain.
Yeah. It is
1 in 150.
If Cheese gets on and tells me I can do it, I'll do it.
Cheese is on a plane, or he's actually in San Diego.
He's on a plane.
I was gonna say that'd be really impressive.
That would be. Send out the bat signal, and there you go. You got a guy. So Pedro Avila has not pitched what it's worth since Saturday, and he's probably their long man. He's probably the guy that would come in, and it's not going to be Hader. It's not going to be Suarez. The other long guys. Yeah, Avila probably pitches a few innings today. Pop quiz. The combined age of Rich Hill and Adam Wainwright. Devin, you guess. Bobby, you go over under.
Well, I partied with Rich Hill once, so he's gonna.
You got to get that story.
Oh my God. 75. We'll just say
75. The combined age of Rich Hill and Adam Wainwright.
I'm gonna say 72.
For starters, it's over under, and you went wrong. It's over. They're both in their 40s. What are we doing?
I don't pay attention to people's age. I just want to know what their DK price is today, Dean.
I just want to know Bobby's story of partying with Rich Hill, Dick Mountain.
I don't think you want to know this story. This is
Is it not safe for air?
It might not be safe.
Family show.
I was at a party. My buddy's his cousin. I walked in I walked in, and there was Rich Hill and everyone, and I don't know. Yeah, that's about as far as I can go with
That's the story.
No.
The rest has been censored due to
this college party.
Oh, okay. Wait, did you know this is before he was pitching in base? No, he was probably.
No, he's in Boston. Yeah.
Okay. All right. The answer, by the way, is we're looking for 84 for the record.
Wow, Derek and chat crushed it right on the top there, right on money.
It. Do we think he Googled? It's a reasonable guess.
I don't know. It's tough to call. You know, they don't have a Google meter here in the YouTube chat.
There's really no way of knowing, but I trust. I don't think he was lying to us. Pretty reasonable guess. We were looking for anecdotes before the show, like whatever you got, Stretch, and like you're just dropping it on us mid-show. Yeah, by the way, I partied at Rich Hill. Like maybe you could have mentioned that like 10 minutes ago.
You know what I found out something before the show started. We can talk about real quick before diving back into baseball. Is the biggest moment in the world just happened? Apple has to pay like $800 million to users because their software updates apparently slow down older model phones.
Intentionally?
Yeah, we all saw that.
For like the last decade.
Yeah, I mean, they've just been doing it, willy-nilly this whole time.
So they're intentionally trying to make other phones weaker and rising themselves, basically. Yeah, but they're already
you got to get the new stuff, market. Basically, that's what they're doing. So, yep.
No, but what he's saying is they're doing it to their own phones.
Yeah.
So you have to get the new one. So you have the 4, and they're saying, well, you got to get the 5 now. That one's bad.
So Elon stole that idea from Apple, is what you're saying.
I don't know who started it. It's a chicken and egg situation.
All right. A summary. Last thoughts as far as the Mets, Bobby. Look, they're the clear and obvious. I shouldn't say clear and obvious, but Wainwright is just such a disaster. But the Mets are very, very popular in this slate. Your official stance is what?
I like Devin's way of playing the max 3 Mets. That's how I'm going to approach it.
All right. They're playing against the Cardinals on the other side. The Cardinals, especially on FanDuel, have some really, really good prices. Just seems too cheap considering their abilities. We'll get the DK in just a second. Just want to throw out some of the Cardinals' prices there in FanDuel to that point. Goldie at 3.6, Arenado 3.5. They're working their way up. Tyler O'Neill, probably one of the best salary savers on the board, kind of an all-or-nothing guy facing Jose Quintana, who has been really, really lucky. Still, I believe he's allowed 0 homers in the season. Eventually, the regression monster is going to come knocking on that door. They're still without one of the Contreras brothers. It's Kisner in there. Taylor Motter, fabulous hair. His baseball game's not spectacular, but he's super, super cheap. And then there's Jose Fermin, who I was looking at before the show because I wasn't aware of his existence. He's not very good, but he's professionally trained to swing a bat, and he's pretty fast, but he's got very little power, basically no power. But, he's a shortstop, but that's, I guess, the nicest thing we could say about him. I'm probably not playing him. I don't make enough lineups to get there. The Cardinals versus Jose Quintana, Bobby, your thoughts as far as St. Louis?
Yeah.
They're both in. I'm sorry. I apologize. Both catchers are in there. Contreras and Kisner. One's DHing. But go ahead.
Yeah, I saw Contreras. I thought Contreras was in there. Motter definitely does condition, though. I think you're right, Dean. He does have some great lettuce there. Goldschmidt, Arenado, Contreras. I think these guys are all fine versus Quintana. Tyler O'Neill, like you said, high variance play. He hit a home run. Like him, Jordan Walker might be my favorite Cardinal, I would say, in the 6 hole. Like him a good bit. You're getting all righties in this order. So, yeah, I'm not playing Motter. I'm not playing Furman. But I don't think I'm even interested in Kisner too much. But, yeah, the top 6 I like. Edmund would be my second favorite shortstop. I know shortstop's pretty thin, but behind Lindor, I think Edmund's my favorite on the slate.
Devin, you have thoughts as far as St. Louis? By the way, we haven't really talked about the pitchers so much, just kind of picking on them. Is Quintana is somebody that's in your pool? Again, we got a roster of 33% of these dudes on DK. If you're running 150, I suppose maybe you're getting a pinch, if nothing else, of Quintana. Devin, feel free to give your thoughts as far as St. Louis and the pitching on the other side for the Mets.
The first thing I was going to say is we got to get an audio clip of Chop doing some kind of a BVP alert because Parabe in chat here says Goldie 11 for 17 for 3 bombs. So
that home run streak is coming to an end tonight.
Well, that's the thing. Chop doesn't. He's got the model, and we're not really sure if the algorithm's going to spit it out or not. You never, because it's a proprietary. He won't show it to me. I don't know if he shows it to Bobby as well, but. You really Chop's got to really like you to share that model. But
we gotta get a name for the model so he can refer to it like Cardi does. So it's a third person. He doesn't like it. The bat likes it.
Yeah. I love how Cardi refers to the bat like it's a person.
Somebody in the room. To my points though on St. Louis, I can see why the team is chalky. I think the only reason why I would want Quintana is to get leverage, and I think now with it being a 3-game slate, I may actually try to get maybe a pinch of Quintana, but these are just 3-game slate things, so you got to mix it in.
Yeah. Bobby, your official take as far as Quintana? If you're making 150, how many lineups is Quintana appearing?
Having like 20% of Quintana.
Yeah. And you're not. I can hear it in your voice. You're not happy about it. That didn't sound like you're happy about it.
I'm definitely not. I'm playing Rich Hill too. I'm playing more Rich Hill than I'm playing Quintana, and I don't like it. Yeah.
But our updated ownership here on DK, Lance Lynn about 60% owned, Zach Gallen at 43%, Rich Hill at 36%, Corbin Burns at 28%, Quintana at 12%, Adam Wainwright 3%. How many games would have to rain out for Wainwright to get in double digits as far as ownership? I guess we won't see that tonight, but yeah.
Rich Hill, how many times has Rich Hill beat Wainwright in this spot?
Well, what's the projection?
1,400 more. I don't know. I think you can make a case for some Wainwright. It's a 3-game slate. I don't know.
On a slate like this, I will be capping all chalk and trying to force in a little bit of all low-owned stuff. That's just that's how you play tournaments, right?
Yeah, but no Will Smith in the Dodgers lineup. I like Burns earlier in the day, and that's going to move the needle a little bit. At least it should. I'm curious. I want to see now because Burns, we'll get to it. He was kind of like my sneaky is a relative term, but like my favorite tournament swerve pitcher, however you want to say it. 28% is sneaky, right? On a 3-gamer that includes Rich Hill and Adam Wainwright. I guess that's sneaky, but that might move up a little bit with the absence of Will Smith because, it's Betts, Freeman, Peralta, JD Martinez, Muncy, Hayward, Outman, Hernandez, and Barnes, which means we're getting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 lefties. Is that 5 or 6 lefties? At least 5. And you want a lot of lefties because Burns is reverse splitsing and his Ks jump up like 27 or 28%. So yeah, he's going to be one of my separators. If you want to call it that on this slate, I will get. Go ahead.
Who do you prefer, Burns or Gallen? Currently, you have Gallen in the expert survey as 2.
Wait, no, I thought I had Burns in there.
Put the hot seat on him. Let's give him the mic. Give him the spotlight.
Burns
can we get a real take, Dean, right now?
Okay.
It seems like your expert survey.
Okay, so you're looking at the consensus value rankings and not the expert survey.
Sorry.
Yeah, so like it's always sort of tricky when you're doing that because I never really know. Like I feel like I'm supposed to. You know how Dave will come on and he'll say like, "Look, officially, I would not recommend you doing this, but this is what I'm doing." Right? So like officially, Zach Gallen is a better play, right? He's projected to score more points than Burns. But what I'm going to do, at least I think he is. It might not be me anymore. What I'm going to do is I'm going to play more Burns than Gallen. And for the record, it was like a 2 and 2A. It was like a kind of a coin toss. But in the survey today, my favorite tournament pitcher is Corbin Burns. And let's see, Keith agrees with me, and as does Alan. Squirrelpatrol like Zach Gallen, by the way. But he's not. I mean, he's going to be like 40% owned. And the Luch putting his reputation on the line, put in Jose Quintana. This is for large field tournaments because, what are you going to do? What are the options? They are especially thin. But, yeah. So officially I'm going to play more Burns and Gallen, but I like them both. And if I put Gallen 2 and Burns 3, it's because I thought Gallen was like the better play, right? Does that make sense?
No, I get you.
All right. We're talking about St. Louis. Did you have a favorite hitter, Devin, for St. Louis? Anything you have written down as far as the Cardinals? They are pretty cheap, like Walker. He's showing flashes. He did have that bases clearing triple the other day, and I'm using air quotes because it was not a triple. It was an error on the outfielder. I was very upset retroactively because I did not have him. And people were like saying, "Oh, the Dean Mush came through." It's like it was not a triple. It was not. It was in the dude's glove, like on the move. Whatever. I don't know why I'm still venting about the other day. But I still like the talent, obviously. He's young. The matchup doesn't scare me. The Quintana thing is smoke and mirrors. Like, good for him. He's been good so far as not subduing homers, but I think he gives up a homer or two today. Walker certainly can do it. Devin, your thoughts as far as the Cards?
Sorry, my cat found my microphone, so she's rubbing all up over it. Hopefully you don't hear it creaking. Oh, she's trying to eat it right now. That's great. I think I'm, trying to stick on my theme of what are my tournament techniques. I'm just going to try and get over the field on lower owned pieces of St. Louis. I'll probably try to be at the field with chalkier pieces, but guys like Andrew Knizner, 2%, 3% owned currently. I'll probably try to be a little, because that's easy. I can have 2 lineups of him and I'm over the field. So
as a catcher, he's only getting 2%. Is that right? That seems low.
We might have some updates pending, but yeah, currently it's low.
Yeah. Let's see. Let's see. We got a refresh coming in. Let's see, as of 6:15. Yeah. So it just happened. I don't know if you
4%. You got a boost, but yeah. So I think that's generally how I'll probably try to tackle chalky teams like tonight on tonight's 3-gamer. Just try to be at the field with good plays, over the field with the under-owned plays. Try to limit the overall chalk.
In real time, Devin, you just moved the needle. Look at you. You're moving the needle.
It's the Dr. Evil boost. I got to get my home run pick now that I had a cat in my lap.
Did you make the graphic or not?
Did that happen? I did.
Oh, man.
Dean, I'm on tomorrow and I'm on Monday and Tuesday. So there's time.
All right. Hope the people are going to want to see it, because when you come on, you got to have a gimmick for sure.
Yeah.
Eric's giving me a hard time for hedging on the expert survey and the CVR. Yes, that's what I was trying to get away with it. I was going to victory lap either one. Like I told y'all, but definitely Gallon. Oh, I told y'all, look at the expert survey. Burns. Victory. It's mine. Final thoughts here as far as this game. Can we fade this game altogether and just play the 2 late games? Is that something we can do, Bobby?
I feel like you could if you want to. I'm playing some of this game.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be the most popular game, I think, from a hitting perspective. Obviously, not so much from the pitching perspective, but yeah,
it's not a great park for hitting, right? Like it's St. Louis, so.
I believe it has the fire emoji. Let me see if it still does. Earlier in the day, it did. Yeah, according to Weather Edge, like traditionally, it's a pretty neutral ballpark. Let's see. It does have the fire emoji, and it's kind of weird. It's giving that mixed message. It's only 46 games as far as the sample, so it's not a huge sample. We have a crosswind at 12 miles per hour, 87 degrees. The old dew point is 60 in 46 similar games. Again, not a huge sample, but 46 similar games of this weather in this ballpark. Homers have actually taken a slight decrease at 7%, but runs have increased at 5.7%. So, I would personally lean toward the fire emoji over that small sample, but like you said, it's not a great ballpark as is, but it feels like it's probably better today than it typically is on most days. Devin, crunch time comes in at 6:45, is that right?
Yeah, they'll be in around 6:30, 6:35 probably. So we got maybe 10, 15 minutes.
Are we behind on time? That's amazing.
Maybe.
All right. Yeah. And get your questions in as well as chat. By all means, feel free to fire them up. We'll do our best to get to those. Let's talk about Arizona at San Diego. 8.5 is the total. Rich Hill on the mound, taking on Zach Gallen. Essentially a coin toss here. Arizona -104, San Diego -112. Gallen versus Hill. Bobby, which way do you want to start as far as this game? I guess let's go with the pitchers, Gallen and Hill.
Yeah, it's terrible to say, but I'm going to be playing some Rich Hill tonight. I honestly, it's just basically the nature of the slate. You can't really get away from it. Last 30 days, Rich Hill hasn't been fantastic. He's been Rich Hill. That much hasn't changed throughout the season. But yeah, for me, he's definitely worse to righties. So looking for Marte. Pham, I think, is a great play. Christian Walker is another one I'd be looking to get to. Gabriel Moreno. Yeah, Corbin Carroll, probably my favorite Diamondback from the left side. Still, I just think he does everything, so he's fine to get in there. He's probably one of the top plays in the slate for me. Yeah, I like this. I like the Arizona stack if Hill's going to get up there in ownership.
Our consensus-wise, as far as stacks, I should mention it. No surprise. Number 1 is the Mets. Number 2 is the Cardinals. So again, that first game is going to be pretty popular from a hitting perspective. Dodgers are third, Milwaukee fourth, Arizona fifth, which is a little bit surprising. That's myself, Squirrel, Keith, and the Luch. I thought it'd be shuffled up a little bit differently. Which is the one team that's not included? Why can't I think of the one team? I'm staring at the slate. No San Diego. It's just kind of surprising. I know they're facing Zach Gallen, but like, it's interesting. Like 5 of the 6 teams are ranked, and nobody's strayed off of the top 5. Mets, St. Louis, Dodgers, Milwaukee, Arizona. Do you agree with that, Bobby? Basically, is that being the consensus? Myself, Keith, Squirrelpatrol, and the Luch.
This slate itself is pretty straightforward from an offense perspective. So yeah, I agree with that.
I figured San Diego would get a little bit of love, but they've been super disappointing, obviously, this season. Gallen, tough matchup, but there is some studs in that San Diego side. And when we get there, maybe it's worth getting over the field on guys like Tatis, guys like Soto. Your thoughts here, Devin? What do the notes say when it comes to Arizona and San Diego?
Arizona, I love. That's probably one that I'm going to try to be over the field on. I'm glad that guys like Kyle Lewis stayed in the lineup because I think he's going to stay low owned. Maybe a good way to get lower owned exposure to the game. But I think Christian Walker and Tommy Pham are probably 2 of my favorites.
No Ketel Marte is a big deal not being in this lineup for Arizona, and Lewis leading off. I don't know how much we need salary, but Lewis leading off at DH is pretty interesting as a cheapie up top. Lewis, Carroll. Oh, look at that. Lewis, Carroll, Pham, Walker, Kennedy, Moreno, Thomas, Ahmed, and Perdomo is the Arizona lineup.
No
so
Marte.
Ketel Marte. Yeah, no Marte seems like a big deal on this slate. It certainly weakens the lineup. Somebody in chat was asking about pinch hit risk. I feel like Lewis might be one of those candidates. I assume it's just like a day off for Marte. Obviously, Hill is a lefty. Presumably, somebody that comes in after him most likely will be a righty. I know Lewis. Yeah, Lewis being the righty, maybe he gets the hook once Hill comes out. I'm trying to think who is on that bench besides Marte. Jace Peterson's another lefty that's on that bench. Kennedy's another guy that's probably vulnerable to the pinch hit. Just, again, 3-game slate. You're not obsessing over it too much. Just sort of note that stuff.
I've got
how much is that
on the
affect?
screen.
Okay, what do you got?
Taylor Motter, 50%. Nick Ahmed, 33%. Jason Hayward, 33%.
Yeah. Nobody in Arizona, huh? Is that refreshed?
Nick Ahmed.
Ahmed, you said. That's right, yeah. Ahmed. What is Lewis, if you don't mind?
Let's
20?
see.
He's throwing out a number.
Looks like a 19 or 9% Kyle Lewis.
All right. I don't think Marte is hurt. But, yeah, and it's a good point to point out there as far as Corbin Carroll, left on left. Don't be scared of that, obviously. Certainly not a 3-gamer. Anything else of note? We don't have a Padres lineup just yet. We do not have Milwaukee. We'll talk about them soon enough. We did get the Dodgers. We already mentioned that. Pretty straightforward when it comes to the Dodgers, with the exception of the absence of Will Smith. Your favorite player, Bobby, on the Arizona side, was it Corbin Carroll?
Yeah, it's Carroll.
What do you think of Kyle Lewis leading off? You think you're going to gravitate towards that?
I could play some Lewis. Yeah, I think it's a good way to get contrarian. I think a lot of people are going to start shoving Rich Hill. So if you want to get different, I think these Arizona guys make a good bit of sense.
Maybe Lewis is somebody you can use, and I guess you don't even need to do that. If you want to double down on like Burns, like 2 of the big 3 arms, I guess you can say, which I guess you're getting that anyway. If you want to stay away from Rich Hill and Wainwright and those kind of guys, there's cheapies in the Mets. There's cheapies everywhere. So, and there's cheapies in the Cardinals. It's not hard to make stuff work, basically, is the point.
Yeah.
The other side, what do we think of their opponent, San Diego? No lineup just yet, but assume, I guess, it's going to be the standard, the usual suspects. Kim leading off, Tatis, Soto, Machado, Bogarts, Cronenworth. We're guessing it's Campusano. It could be Sanchez, Gamble, and Grisham. Your thoughts here, Bobby, when it comes to the Padres?
So I love Gallen as well, but he has been struggling to some of these lefties, especially lefty power hitters. So like you said, getting over on Soto, I think, makes a good bit of sense. I like Cronenworth. We talked about a loaded first base position. I think he'd be an interesting differentiator in single field or like 3 max tournaments. If you want to get different that way, I think that both him and Soto are probably my 2 favorite plays. You could throw Grisham in there. Not really targeting any of these righties. And I don't really like San Diego as a 5-man. I know it's tough to say with like Fernando Tatis and Machado probably not going to be playing them tonight, even though it's a 3-game slate. But yeah, I don't see myself getting there.
Yeah, it is. It is kind of a surprising thing. And in chat, by the way, they're pointing out that Carroll has a really bad left-on-left ISO this season, and it's a lot of it. Everything just sort of defaults into Bobby. It's a 3-game slate, right? His ISO is 83, which is terrible. That's really bad.
It's such a cop out on our end. Like, yeah, it's a 3-game slate. Play whoever you want, but for right now, like Carroll's grading out the best for me on Arizona.
I wonder. I feel like he hasn't taken a ton of at bats left on left. That's probably part of it. I'm guessing. 123. Yeah, he's not striking out versus lefties. 12.2% is a pretty good number. Not walking either. So he's going to put the ball in play. And Rich Hill's a guy that's not going to strike him out either. Let's see if I can stretch. Yeah, go ahead.
If you think in terms of construction, right, like we're saying you can play a batter versus the opposing pitcher, he's like the perfect guy, right? He's hitting in the 2-hole. He can steal a bag. He can hit a bomb. Hopefully it's a solo. You know what I mean? Like I think that's why I'd be more interested in getting to him out of all the other bats in this lineup, because you can play him against Hill, and you're going to have to play Hill in some lineups if you're playing multi-entry.
I did stretch it back to last year, and it's a little bit better for Carroll. 102 ISO, 153 at bats. He came up in the middle of the season as far as left on left. Shout out to Daryl in chats. Daryl says, thank you for all of yesterday's tips on Seattle stack, which included Spidey bombs. Yeah, Spidey had Kyle Raleigh and Christopher Morel with the walk-off. How fun is he? That was an awesome homer for him. I hope the Cubs did a little bit more, but that got me to min cash. I had a ton of Christopher Morel. I always play him, especially in the win games. We'll take the min cash on a rough day when things weren't going so well. Final thoughts here. Anything else here to add, Devin, as far as Arizona, San Diego?
My notes for San Diego prior to the game getting canceled, the Detroit-Cleveland game getting canceled, was I only want to go to San Diego in 1 out of 20, full stack only. So now that I hear that you and the team are putting them at the very bottom and not even ranking them, maybe 2 out of 20.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, like that's the rankings, but like it's also like a pretty good team if they're not. I mean, theoretically, it's a really good team, right? At least the top 5, top 6. If Sanchez grabs a spot, he can homer a couple times. It's interesting just because, like, it's baseball. Weird things happen, and we got to do our rankings. You're supposed to rank your top 5, and it's just strange that San Diego is the odd team out. You got a final thought, Bobby, before we move on to the last game that is Milwaukee and the Dodgers?
No, we hit on everything, I think.
Devin will be very upset at me if I do not mention before we get to the last game, the NFL. The NFL, it is already here. It's almost here. It's already here. It's close enough to here. 20 days away. We're all, we're definitely grinding those best balls for sure. We're more than ready than ever. Our team of experts and suite of tools, good to go. Let RotoGrinders handle the legwork so you can work less, win more this NFL season, get access to everything we have to offer at a special discount available only to those without a current RG subscription. I say current. I don't know why I said current, but I added that. Without an RG subscription, you can get a full season subscription for $50 off, limited time only price, $375. This sale will be ending opening night of the season, so get it while you can. I assume that means the Thursday, the kickoff. Devin, you're probably more in lockstep on these things as well, but about 20 days away, probably 3 weeks from today, I'm guessing.
I'd like to not really think about it too hard. But yes, I would imagine that it would be the Thursday night game. My dog is barking in the background, by the way, so I'm going to mute myself.
You got dogs, you got cats, a lot going on over there.
Cats' heads are falling off.
Little place called Aspen. Milwaukee and the Dodgers, 8.5 is the total. Dodgers are a pretty good size favorite, -154 against Lance Lynn on the bump against Corbin Burns. Milwaukee's got a team total of 3.85, Dodgers 4.65. Lance Lynn, Bobby, is going to get an erroneous, no, I shouldn't say erroneous, a massive, an egregious amount of ownership, depending on. It's going to be a big boy number for sure. Taking on these Brewers. We know he's been unlucky this year as far as home runs. Homer to fly balls over 2 per 9. That's like a 23% fly ball rate. Homer to fly ball rate. But, if we're playing tournaments, do we got to get over that or under that? What's the official strategy when it comes to rostering super, super chalky Lance Lynn?
I like Lance Lynn in this spot. I'm fine with eating the chalk. What I would say is, like, he's only getting 3 lefties, right? So even though one of them's Yelich, The other is Frelick. But I think you still play some Lynn. Just the context of the slate. Once again, very cop out of an answer, but he's probably my favorite. You figure he goes the win. His K prop's pretty good. His K prop's sitting at 6.5 almost. So yeah, I don't mind some Lance Lynn.
It's probably going to be 4. Terang is also a lefty. Frelick, Terang, Santana, and Yelich. But it's your point as far as
Santana at 4. Yeah, I didn't realize. Carlos, your guy. You were calling him at the beginning of the show.
Well,
so
I mean, I don't want
4 lefties.
I don't want him to be my guy, but like I just think that just kind of how building stuff works. And first base is kind of loaded with Goldie, with Walker, with the polar bear, with the girthy Vogelbach. That like Santana's right there, and he's going to get it's hard to get somebody that's like competent and relatively unowned, and actually has a pretty good price. And that Santana checks all those boxes. So I'm willing to roster Santana if it happens to work out against Lynn. If I have Lynn, I'm willing to roster him against him because I don't expect Lance Lynn to pitch a perfect game and have a clean sheet and give up 0 runs. And, he's probably gives up a homer, maybe 2. You never know. I don't really love this Milwaukee lineup, but whatever we're going to get. And, but this sort of the way builds work. And if you're going to be playing Mets and I'm going to be playing some Mets, you're going to be playing Lynn. You got to do something to be different, right? You can't just like hit the optimizer button. That's not something we're doing. And I always say this whenever I make lineups, I'm basically shooting for like single entry, 3 entry max kind of contests. And maybe like running out 2 or 3 Brewers in the single entry contest is something I'm going to do. Now, if it's 3, I'm probably not playing Lynn for what it's worth, but maybe 2. I haven't built it just yet. We'll figure it out when we get off the show and crunch time comes on in about 10 minutes or so. You got Squirrelpatrol coming on. You have Roth as well as Tim, TastefulTides. We'll jump in. I'm curious to hear their thoughts. Your official take here, Devin, when it comes to Lance Lynn, and then feel free to jump over to the Brewers.
I think this is one of those where I am probably going to have to eat the chalk. The Brewers, I've seen them fail so many times, and looking at the ground ball rate, I'm not excited for any of these batters, especially any of the lefties. Yeah, I'd say I'll probably have exposure to Lance Lynn, but I don't think I'll have at the field because 60% is a lot.
Devin, you've come so far looking at the ground ball. I mean, what would like 8 years ago Devin say to Devin of today, talking about the ground ball rate of the Milwaukee Brewers?
I would say which position is that in? I don't know team names. I don't know players. I don't know nothing.
So proud of you.
Thanks. Coming a long way.
Bobby, the Brewers, thoughts?
Yeah, I think it'd be Yelich. I like your thought process on Santana. It's definitely sharp. Sal Frelick would be my 3rd favorite, and then Terang down at the. I don't want to play these Brewers. I'm more Lance Lynn, but if I had to rank them, it'd be the lefties that I'd be interested in.
Giving another refresh, I want to see exactly what we have as far as ownership when it comes to Lynn. Is it going to settle around 60%? Is that what we're looking at? Let's see. Yeah, 59, 60%. That's for large field stuff. Oh boy, I just got the spinning wheel. Hopefully that will correct itself in just a second. But otherwise, Devin, feel free to run down the pitcher ownership for me if you don't mind while I gather my pages.
60% Lance Lynn, 43% Gallen, Rich Hill, Dick Mound, 36%, 28 for Corbin Burns, Quintana at 12, Wainwright at 3.5.
Yeah, that's pretty rough. All right. How about the Dodgers? No, let's ask about Burns. Did you agree with me as far as my Burns take, Bobby? I just think that 28%. I think it's gone up. I think it's gone up a little bit as the show.
I think it should have gone up. I like Burns too, so I'm with you. Like it's Burns and Gallen and Lance Lynn are probably my 3 favorite. In the same boat as you. Like Lynn's probably my number 1, and those 2 are kind of interchangeable on the other side. So
San Diego, by the way, Kim, Tatis, Soto, Machado, Bogarts, Cronenworth. It is Campusano, not Sanchez, Garrett Cooper, and Grisham round out that lineup. Dodgers, their absent Will Smith. So we're losing. We lost one of the better catchers on this slate. How are you handling the Dodgers tonight here, Bobby? Because Burns is like, I know he's not been what he once was, former Cy Young winner several years ago, but still pretty good. And like, he's very good against lefties. That was the other thing I was kind of digging into as far as Burns. That's one of the reasons why I like him. I was thinking the Dodgers are going to roll out a fair bit, and they did give him, I think 5 was the official count. We can look at the splits for Burns against lefties this season. An ISO of 78, which is Corbin Carroll versus lefties this season, basically, which has been really, really bad. A WOBA of 236, tons of ground balls at 54%. So splits have been real. Reverse splits for him. The more lefties, the better. Freeman's a tough lefty. Muncy's a tough lefty. But then, Peralta, not what he once was. Hayward's whatever, has his moments here and there. Outman up and coming. I'm not really sure why Outman is batting last, but that's what they're doing today. That seems kind of weird. Maybe they're thinking about the splits. I'm not really certain. But, yeah, Burns. Bobby, what do you got?
Yeah, you mentioned the splits. Like, I'm looking for the righties from the Dodgers in this instance. Mookie, lose Will Smith. That isn't the greatest. So JD would probably be the next one that I'd be targeting. Ahmed Rosario fell all the way down in the 8 hole. Yeah, for me, like, I think Burns is fine. But when I'm attacking him or playing the Dodgers in some lineups, I'm going to be picking these righties.
Is anybody grinding the preseason game tonight? I think it's the Eagles. I don't know who else they're playing, but T from LOC is saying, who's my captain for preseason showdown slate? I don't have one. I don't think I'm playing one. As of right now, I might play. I did, you know what? I did do a prize picks because Kyle Murray dropped the prize picks in the scores and odds sheet, and I trust Kyle. He's a sharp guy. So if you happen to be you have a scores and odds sub, I even wrote him a note. I go, look, man, we maxed it out. The most I'll let you put on it. We put 100 smackers on the some couple players. I'm not sure if I've heard of them. Like they're to run like for 17 yards or something like that. But yeah, just get a little action, a little bit.
I thought you were a big preseason DFS guy, Dean.
You thought? Did you really think that? I don't believe you did. I think you're just making that up.
I did. I know I did. I remember you saying that a while back. You're in a preseason DFS.
I feel like you're just making stuff up. Roth, you got a job interview? You got a hot date? What's going on, Roth? And why is my color all red? What's going on there?
I don't. You do look like a tomato. Can confirm.
Yeah.
You're getting all flustered, Dean. Sevens in chat, everybody. 777.
Oh, my camera's all funky. What's up, Roth? Why we dressed up? Is this for a spot for San Diego weather for Friday?
By the way, bad news about that, Squirrel. I've got to talk to you about the whole live final and the hurricane on the way. So, we'll discuss. No, I've got my wife's got some sort of work function date theater thing, so I got to get prettied up for after the show.
Oh, look at you. All right. Congratulations on that. We got Squirrel. Squirrel, the people want your pitcher takes. A nice call yesterday on Gore, by the way.
Thank you.
Shout out to you. We have Tim as well. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Did I cut you off? Continue.
No. Just Mackenzie Gore had a great game. I was actually sitting in a local restaurant watching because the Nationals are on, local team on TV. So, it's good to see him have a good game. Crazy.
Did he get hurt at the end of that game? I thought I saw a note where he left. Something happened, right?
Yeah, but it was he pitched, I think, 7 innings. I think he went as deep as he's gone this year. And then, but then it had the little day-to-day tag on him or whatever after he left the game.
Okay, gotcha. We should step aside for crunch time, I suppose. Unless you guys got anything else, Bobby, Devin. It was fun, Devin. It was nice having you back. Welcome back. You're here for the next, couple days or so?
Yep, I'll be back Friday, Monday, and Tuesday. And yes, we want to make sure we give Roth plenty of time to go over the 3 games on crunch time.
Brutal.
Roth, are you sitting down? You know what time the lock is tonight?
I don't know, but I'm not making it.
You're not going to like it.
The wife's going to be like, we get the function.
Yeah, we got the thing. We'll see what happens.
7:15, Roth, at 7:15 officially.
Oof, we'll see. We'll see if the chat can keep the questions coming.
It's up to chat.
Yeah.
That was Bobby. That was Devin. Devin's not going anywhere, but myself and Bobby, we do appreciate y'all watching the first portion. Do kindly hit that like button, subscribe, turn on those notifications. We got Roth to take it away as far as crunch time. Roth, take us home.
Let's do it. Good stuff as always, Dino. And hey, good to see Devin, man. It's been a minute. This is like old times.
Yeah, you guys will be stuck with me for a few days now. So Steve's off getting married. Congrats to Steve.
Whoa.
Wow.
I missed that completely. Good for him.
Yep. They teased it yesterday, but it's only for the diehard viewers. I'll dip back. I'll let you guys get into crunch time.
Okay. All right. Well, it's good to see you, man. Hey, welcome to it, ladies and gentlemen. This is indeed crunch time. It is the show where we bring on 2 of the sharpest minds in the biz, baby. Sponsored by Fanduel. We got Squirrel in the house. What's up, man?
Not much. I just changed my Twitter handle thing because I'm not actually at Squirrelpatrol. And at Squirrelpatrol probably gets super annoyed answering questions about fantasy sports instead of sports.
Yeah, and it's probably said that for years and years.
Yeah.
It's just said the wrong thing. But okay, good note. All right. At JBRESL. You're quasi active on the Twitter, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I try to be active.
I follow you.
Flow going.
We got to talk about the live final, but we'll hold that off for a little bit here because I don't think you're gonna like what I have to say. We got Tim in the house as well. TastefulTides. What up, Tim?
Not much. What's the over/under on how many beers you're gonna have before you go to your function, Kevin? What's the over/under?
I'm thinking probably two pregame, four
So
at the event.
I'm gonna bet the over on that. By the way.
Well, this is the first, and I'm leaving right after the show. So, like, if I had access to it, if I had the fridge right here, the over would be a good call. But I think I'm trapped here. Someone said Roth looking like Cardi. No. Hang on. Now I'm looking like Cardi. That's the Cardi look right there.
Camera doesn't go low enough.
gotta open it all the way up, baby. No buttons.
And real quick before I do hand it off, we did have a question in Discord from Jay Brunton. There was a topic of conversation earlier about potentially playing the long man for St. Louis. So if you guys have that as a topic of discussion, maybe kick us off there.
Sure. Okay. Yeah. Well, we most certainly do need to dive into pitchers. We were going to talk weather, but obviously the game in Cleveland got postponed. So that's out. Can't do it. Not going to do it. Wouldn't be prudent. So why don't we just dive right into pitchers? Squirrel, you want to kind of lead us off with some of those thoughts, including answering that question?
Sure. So yeah, there's 6 pitchers. 6 pitchers on the slate. DraftKings, you have to play 2 of them. So Lance Lynn, I think, is going to be overwhelming chalk. And like he's got the best matchup. I think the Brewers have the lowest implied run total. Like, I'm a big fan of playing more Brewers than Lance Lynn. Like, it's like I try to be positive about every slate, but this is like 3 very normal games. With this rain shortened slate, like the difference between the worst team and the best team in terms of offense is probably the smallest I've seen, because there's only 6 teams. Like, the Brewers have the lowest implied run total, but I think it's still 3.9 against Lance Lynn. It's like if he's going to be like 38% owned on FanDuel, might like hit like 60 something on DraftKings, like absolutely play some Brewers because they have good hitters. Like they're not a bad hitting team. After Lance Lynn, I think it's probably Zach Gallen and Corbin Burns are about equal. I think they'll have about equal ownership. And then there's the 3 cheap guys, Rich Hill, Jose Quintana, and Adam Wainwright. I prefer Rich Hill out of those 3 guys, and I think Rich Hill is going to see a good amount of ownership, especially on DraftKings. I don't mind playing some Adam Wainwright, actually. Like, he's been awful. Like, I think his last game, he had negative 21. Yeah.
All we've done all season is talk about how he's the worst pitcher in baseball and stack against him. That's all we've done.
Yes. But yeah, it's 3 games. And I think it's possible. Like, I don't know. Like, we had Patrick Corbin all last year, like just looked terrible. Like, could not get out of the first inning. Like, now he's fine. Like, Adam Wainwright just needs to have a good game tonight. He doesn't have to suddenly turn things around and be stellar for the rest of his career. So like, I don't necessarily like the idea of like playing the St. Louis like long man or anything. Like, I would play Adam Wainwright very sparingly, but I don't think it's insane. Nothing is insane on this slate.
Okay, that's fair. That makes sense. All right. I feel like you've covered all of pitcher. We can toss it over to Tim. And Tim, why don't you start with what we're supposed to do on cash, and then walk me through what you like as tournament pivots.
So what you're supposed to do in cash is pretty easy. It's Lance Lynn on FanDuel. That's the clear and obvious play. That's the cash game play. Full disclosure, I'm not playing cash tonight. It's just a 3-game slate. I don't want to play cash. I pretty much always play cash on DraftKings, but tonight I'm not going to. But if you are, it's Lance Lynn on FanDuel. That's very, very easy. And then on DraftKings, it's a little bit harder. It's still definitely Lance Lynn as your SP1. There's no doubt about that. Now there's a little bit of a situation going on with Rich Hill that I wanted to talk about. The bat has Rich Hill projected through the roof. Okay. And so the bat would spit out Rich Hill as your SP2 in cash, but the bat also has his projected pitch count for 105 pitches, which I think is way too high.
Yeah, that's a lot.
If you look at our RG projection, we have him projected for 86 pitches. That's a huge discrepancy.
Yeah.
So depending on what projection system you use, it's going to spit out certain things, different, a whole different metric. Okay. So I think our RG projections in this instance is closer to what I expect Hill to throw.
Mhm.
So I don't have Hill ranked as high as the bat does. So what I would do in cash is play Lance Lynn and I'm going to go Corbin Burns.
Okay.
Those are going to be that's who my two cash game guys would be.
But you're not playing cash. So then
I'm
the
not playing
question
cash,
becomes,
but that's yeah.
Are you playing them in tournaments, or are you getting different?
Oh yeah. I mean, you could definitely. I mean, like Squirrel said, there's really not one pitcher that's like completely off the board. Like, you could even play Adam Wainwright, just like Squirrel said. The other thing I wanted to kind of piggyback off what Squirrel said is, we have Milwaukee as the second best stack of the night and our top stack stool. And that's going up against Lance Lynn. So, I mean, you're going to get a ton of leverage on the field. Like, I'm just trying to talk to people from like a macro perspective here. I'm not saying Milwaukee's gonna win you the slate, but in terms of leverage, in terms of winning a large field GPP, those are the types of plays that that you have to make. And they were also kind of talking about on the last show, you can play a couple of Brewers bats even on your Lance Lynn teams, because Lance Lynn does give up home runs. I could, conceivably see Lance Lynn being optimal and a couple Milwaukee bats as well.
Interesting. Okay, very good. And like on a small slate like this, that's the kind of thing to set yourself apart that can win you a tournament. I really like that idea. Okay. Any other, like, who are your two highest owned? Let's say you were running 20 out there, or maybe you're just single entrying. Who is your favorite pairing for tournaments?
So I would go, I think I still like Lance Lynn, even though I talked about how much Milwaukee's a good contrarian stack.
Mhm.
I really like Corbin Burns. I think Burns Lynn would be my highest owned pairing. I think Quintana is super interesting. And obviously, I mean, Gallen is a talented pitcher. I just don't think he has a very good matchup, and he's really, really expensive. So, yeah.
Okay. All right. That makes a whole lot of sense. Very good. We need to talk about some stacks and some bats. But before we do that, I should do this FanDuel. Did I mention the show sponsored by FanDuel? Because it is. The hell is that? What in God's name was that?
Did your school's fire alarm just go off?
You
okay?
Okay.
Oh, that's Tim. That's Tim. I see.
Okay, all right.
I thought that was on Roth's
I need to know
side.
what that is, but first I'm going to do the read. I thought like I screwed up the read so egregiously that Devin like hit some sort of horn on me. Like, you're going to get us fired. Don't say what you're about to say. All right, let me do the sponsor read.
Something's burning in my kitchen, but just let's not worry about it.
Is there anyone home? Is there anyone else home?
Oh yeah, it's being dealt with. Yeah.
Okay, that's good. Just want to make sure it's not like burning down and you're just standing by.
I am committed to the show, Kevin. Okay,
Okay.
No matter what.
If you start seeing flames or hearing screams, feel free. You are allowed to leave and go save family members. Just FYI. All right, quick little read here for our wonderful sponsor, FanDuel. Sign up for the FanDuel Sportsbook if you're in a legal sports betting state. Take advantage of their awesome bonus offer. If you're in Tennessee, Arizona, Colorado, or Illinois, you bet $5, get $150 in bonus bets. If you're in Washington, West Virginia, Indiana, Iowa, and all other legal sports betting states, you, my friend, can get a no-sweat first bet up to $1,000. Terms and conditions do apply. Shout out to our sponsor, FanDuel, keeping this show free. Someone said, he's in Maine. It could be a whale or something.
I do live right next to the ocean, so it is possible. It's very possible.
That's funny. That made me laugh. It's like a foghorn or something. Who knows? In Maine.
Yep.
All right, let's talk about the stacks. And Tim, you can lead us off.
Yeah, so everyone's going to want to pick on Adam Wainwright, and I think that's completely reasonable and fine because Wainwright is absolutely atrocious. So I think the Mets are going to be super chalk. I think that they're going to get into the territory of being what I would consider overowned, negative leverage, but that doesn't mean that they can't, be good, right? I mean, just because they're so highly owned doesn't mean that they're necessarily bad. So if you're playing cash games, I would be getting a lot of Mets in your team, definitely on both sites. I'd say the next most popular probably would be St. Louis, and especially the righties, and especially on FanDuel, I think St. Louis is what I would consider like too cheap, which is obviously going to bring their ownership up as well. So those would be the two quote unquote best teams. I've already mentioned Milwaukee is like my favorite contrarian stack, or even just like a skinny stack or a couple one-offs. And then really it's kind of like take your pick. I mean, you can always stack the Dodgers. I mean, they're a fantastic team. They don't have Will Smith tonight, which kind of stinks, but I mean, it's still the Dodgers. They're still a powerful lineup. So they would probably rank number 4 for me.
Okay, very good. Squirrel, how are you stacking this up here? And are you tailoring those stacks? Like, all right, if I'm doing the chalkier pitchers, I'm getting crazy. Like, what's your approach here stack-wise?
Yeah, exactly. So I think the most popular are going to be the Mets and St. Louis. And if you're playing the Mets and St. Louis, I would not play like Lance Lynn and Rich Hill on DraftKings or really FanDuel, because then I think you're going to have a hard time like beating the field.
Yeah.
I think Milwaukee's probably the best leverage stack on the slate, just because they're facing Lance Lynn and their lineup is also not out yet. They're the only lineup that we're still waiting on, which can lead to a little bit lower ownership.
It just came out.
Just drop
Okay.
It's on the screen now. If you see it there, it's Yelich, Contreras, Santana, Frelick, Adames, Monsterio, Caratini, Terang, and Taylor.
Okay. Yeah. So regardless, I think Milwaukee is going to see the lowest ownership on the slate. But like I said, there's not a lot of difference between the best team and the worst team tonight. So I like the idea of going overweight the lower owned stacks and being a little bit underweight on the Mets and St. Louis. Although in given a choice, I'd pick St. Louis over the Mets, because I think the Mets are going to see outsized ownership just because of the Adam Wainwright factor.
Sure. Okay. Very good. Okay. Hey, let's go around the horn. We got some important questions like, were those names types of pasta or baseball players, Kevin? I don't know. Some of them could go either way, honestly. Also, Caratini is the birthday boy. Just wanted to get that narrative out there. Let the people know. We do know that matters. Hey, hit us with a little thumbs up for this free show and for our sponsor, Fanduel, if you don't mind. We're trying to keep this show free for you. Squirrel, let's go around the horn. Start with catcher. We'll see how long this goes.
Sure. There's not a lot of people playing at any position tonight. So my favorite catcher is Wilson Contreras. If I'm going for a lower owned value pivot, I would go with Andrew Nizer, the other St. Louis catcher. So both St. Louis catchers.
Okay. Is it Kaniza? Is that Kanizer? Do we know? Because that's a very Midwest name. It's like a Polish or something with the K, the rant. Let's see. Let's look at this character. Oh yeah, that guy's from the Midwest. That's a Kanizer if I've ever seen one. Tim, what are you doing there at the catcher spot?
Yeah, definitely Wilson Contreras would be like the cash game guy. I think Gabriel Moreno would be like my favorite punt at 2,600 on DraftKings. And then William Contreras would probably be my favorite tournament, like large field tournament catcher.
I'm disappointed to let you know that it is not Kanizer, it is Kisner, and I now no longer have any respect for that man. You can't.
That's what I thought. I didn't want to ruin it for. I didn't want to ruin it for you.
Yeah, I hate it now. Yeah. I'm very disappointed in the whole thing. Don't play that guy. He sucks.
It's okay. I'm pretty sure I'm the one that spawned Yazir Meduski for cheese. So
that was like 5 years ago. He still keeps
still
going.
holds on to it. Still holds on to it.
Good old Yazir Meduski, Mike Yazir Meduski. All right, first base, Tim. What are we doing?
Pete Alonso is the best overall play at first base, followed by Paul Goldschmidt. Those two would probably be the highest owned. I think Carlos Santana as like a salary saving option is very, very interesting. And then Freddie, you can always play Freddie Freeman. I don't think he's going to garner that much ownership on either side. I can't imagine. And he always has tournament winning upside. So I think Freddie Freeman's a really interesting play.
Oh man, that was glorious that it happened again. I think I'm setting off your fire alarm there when I pulled the jacket there. Squirrel, what are we doing at first base?
Yeah, Christian Walker is my favorite. I think my favorite low-owned pivot is Carlos Santana, along with the rest of the Brewers stacks. This is a good position to spread out because any one of these guys can hit for power. So I would spread out at the first base position if like playing a bunch of teams. Like if you're playing 20 teams, I would generally like spend up at first and put my first baseman along with my stack.
Okay, so the whale alarm. Who are we talking about when the whale alarm went off? Because that's the dude. That's the dude we need, unless it's that Kinsner.
Right, Freddie Freeman.
All right, Freddie Freeman, stack it up. All right, let's go to second base. Squirrel, what do you like?
So second base, Mookie Betts, second base eligible. Getting a lot of Jeff McNeil. He's hitting third for the Mets. Like the Mets are the best projected stack today, and McNeil has the platoon advantage against Wainwright. Then Ha-Seong Kim with San Diego, and then for the salary saver, always the Milwaukee guy, Bryce Terang, hitting 8.
Okay. Tim, let's go to second. What do you like? And to be clear, is this a common occurrence? Like I've gotten an alarm where if I do smash burgers or if I sear a steak, like the alarm is going off. It happens every time.
The alarm has gone off. The alarm has gone off twice in the last probably year, and both times I've been on a show. Yeah.
All right.
So
someone's sending a message.
Kind of a bad beat for me. So yeah. So Mookie Betts for tournaments, I think is interesting if you have the salary. Jeff McNeil, great play for cash games on FanDuel. Tommy Edmonds, only $2,900 batting leadoff. I think he's a really strong play.
Okay, third base.
Yeah. I'd say Nolan Arenado would probably be my favorite overall. I really like Max Muncy. Squirrel mentioned Kim for the Padres. You could play him second base, third base, and short on FanDuel. So I think he's very, very interesting. Lost my spot here. Oh yeah, and then Kiki Hernandez, 3,400. I think he's an interesting value play for GPPs.
Okay, excellent. That brings us to Squirrel's thoughts at third.
It's just Nolan Arenado and Manny Machado. I think the Dodgers are probably going to go under-owned. So Max Muncy with the Dodgers at third base. And then it's really just a bunch of salary savers like Buddy Kennedy, Taylor Motter, Jose Fermin.
Okay. What position? I don't know what position this fella is. Jonathan Arias.
Yeah, he's like an interesting punt for the Mets. Like, I mean, that whole Met stack is firmly in play, and he's 2,300 on DK.
He's 2K bare minimum on FanDuel.
Yeah. So I mean, I don't know. Like, he's definitely fine for tournaments because anyone's fine. So on that team,
sure.
Okay. I don't think I'd play him in cash games though.
Gotcha. All right. I think we're at short. Squirrel, is it your turn to walk us through shortstop?
Sure. So I think shortstop is the position where there's the biggest difference between like the top guy and everybody else. Although so on FanDuel, it's going to be like Francisco Lindor and Mookie Betts. I do have Lindor like projected ahead of Mookie Betts, which is not always the case. On DraftKings, Mookie's not shortstop eligible, so it's like the gap between Francisco Lindor and Tommy Edman, which is pretty significant. In terms of like power low owned guys, I think Willie Adames and Xander Bogaerts, and then Arise is going to be the $2,300 guy. Just a note on salary savers, it's not that easy to use all of your salary on this slate with only 3 teams. It's like some some slates, it's like, ooh, if I use this like 2,300 guy, I can fit in like Aaron Judge and Acuna in like a lineup construction that other people aren't going to have. Like on this slate, there's not a ton of guys to really spend up for.
Right. And does that mean that the higher, like the spend ups like a Lindor are going to be super high owned because everyone has the money to play the few good plays that there are?
Yeah, exactly. Like we're showing a 38%.
Okay, very good.
Yeah,
By the way, I was looking up all crazy. I wasn't looking at you, Squirrel, like digitally. I was looking at my children above me who sound like a herd of elephants, even though they're like 30 pounds. I don't know how that's possible, but just so you know, I didn't think you were crazy. Shortstop, Tim, what do you got?
Pretty much the same thing as Cheese. Squirrel, excuse me. Lindor, Bats would be the top options. And then I think there is a pretty big price discrepancy on FanDuel and DraftKings with Willie Adames. Willie Adames is only $2,900 on FanDuel. And so I think he's a really, really good, strong salary saving option. And I don't think he's going to be that high owned.
Okay, great. And that brings us to the outfield. Tim?
Yeah, so, guys like, Tyler O'Neill, Tommy Pham, Jeff McNeil. Oh, boy.
Whale alarm, baby.
Jeff McNeil is the play this time.
Jeff McNeil is the whale bomb play in the outfield. Lock it in. Squirrel, why don't you run through your outfield plays while we allow the whale alarm to stop?
Sure. So Fernando Tatis is my highest projected guy. He's probably going to go under owned, but he's one of the few guys you can really spend up for at 6,200. I think Christian Yelich is one of my favorite plays on the slate because he's facing Lance Lynn. He's got the platoon advantage. He hits right-handers much better than lefties. So I think he's going to be an under owned play. So he's and then Tyler O'Neill is also good home run call. And he's one of the St. Louis guys I would make it a priority to get into my lineup.
Okay, very good. Tim, is the whale alarm still going off? Are we good? I saw you texting someone. You just sent out a pissed off text, didn't you?
It's more of a curious text. I don't know what's going on down there. I don't know if we're actually in trouble or not.
Right? Yeah, starting to get a little nervous for real.
Yeah.
Okay.
What getting hot in the room?
Yeah. Right. Exactly. Did Squirrel mention Kyle Lewis? I think he's kind of interesting. $2,500 on DraftKings. Just as he's a cheapie. I really like Christian Yelich, and I also think that a player like Fernando Tatis is going to go under owned relative to what he should be, just because he's very, very expensive. And Gallen is a good pitcher, but Tatis is one of the best hitters in all of baseball. So I think he's a good tournament play.
Okay, very good. Keith said, and I think we briefly discussed this, what about potential relief guys thinking Waino might blow up? Is that great? That feels like you're being too cute, but it is only a 3-game slate, so maybe not. Squirrel.
I'd rather have Squirrel answer this because I don't think that's a good idea, but Squirrel's more of a large field guy.
Yeah, I wouldn't do that. I just think I don't think it's positive EV. I think you're going to get a 0 potentially more often than you get points. And it's not I don't know. There's just not a lot of leverage. It was one of the pitchers Zach Gallen, Corbin Burns, and Lance Lynn are all capable pitchers. Even Jose Quintana and Rich Hill, some combination of those two guys, even if Wainwright gets blown up, some combination of these two guys is going to put up a better score. And you don't need salary savings. So it's not clear. The chances that a St. Louis long reliever really goes in there and puts up the slate winning score is just not worth the risk, I think, in my opinion. I've seen guys win tournaments, win GPPs with negative points from their pitcher more often than I've seen guys win GPPs with long relievers that were not going in after a known opener.
Yeah. Okay. That makes a lot of sense. It may be on a different slate, but if there's other pitchers who you don't need the money and there's other guys who are probably going to put up more points. And I love how you always say in these situations, you need 2 outcomes to go right. First you need the guy who sucks to suck, and that will probably happen. But then you also need the guy to come in and do well, which that's multiple outcomes you need, and that just like limits the pool, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's possible if Wainwright gets blown up that badly, like they're putting a position player in at some point, not necessarily the long relief.
Could be very, very done. Okay, great. Let's take a few questions. Actually, let's get a couple quick home run calls. Tim, who is your whale alarm bomb of the night? Who you got?
I'm going to go Yelich. And then I also like, I'm going to go Yelich, and I'm going to go Lindor as kind of a chalky one.
Very good. All right. Squirrel, what do you got for me?
I'm going to go with 2 Brewers. I'm going to go with Bryce Terang and Carlos Santana.
Okay, excellent. Guys, let's take a few questions. If we get questions for 9 minutes, we'll stick around until lock. It was 15 after lock. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. If we get questions worth, we'll do it. If not, we're out. Absolutely love this question from Gregorius de Wise. How many pounds of lobster does Tim eat per week living right next to the ocean in Maine? Are you a lobster man?
I eat crab. I hate lobster.
Whoa.
Yeah, I love scallops too, and we have and mussels and oysters. Yeah, but not.
That's you are such a man of the sea with all of these different crustaceans, but no lobster. The creme de la creme, some would say, and you're out.
It is not the creme de la creme. That's fake news.
Okay. I think lobster's pretty damn good. I vomit 50% of the time I eat lobster, but I still eat it anyways. Like I just roll the dice. I'm like, let's see what happens. And half the time I end up puking, but it's still worth it. A lot of people actually saying they prefer crab to lobster. Quick lobster story that I'm not making up. I believe there was a prison in Maine that was like on the coast of Squirrel. Are you about to?
I know the story.
You know the story. Okay.
I heard the story in my tour of Maine.
Yes. So when a big storm would come or when the tides would get whipped up, all these lobsters would get thrown up onto the rocks and they would feed them to the prisoners because it was just free food. And the prisoners revolted. They literally like had a big hunger strike, or I don't know. They tried. Yeah. Because they were so tired of eating lobster. They're like, you feed me one more lobster again and I'm going to kill all of you. And it's lobster. What are the odds? What a chance. So Tim, the prisoners are with you, basically, is what I'm saying.
I agree with the prisoners 100%.
Prisoner mentality, Tim. Okay, that was a story for absolutely nothing, but let's see what we got here.
I got something. I got a question.
Please.
What is the weather going to be like in San Diego?
Oh, yeah, we should do that. So there's a hurricane. It's about to be a Cat 3 hurricane. It's moving towards San Diego, but it's not going to be a hurricane by the time it gets there. In fact, it will maybe be a tropical storm. And I don't think it will bring tropical storm force winds to San Diego. But Friday looks good. Saturday looks pretty damn good. And then Sunday, the later you go, the shittier it gets. So I'm hoping it's all dependent on exactly where this thing ends up, right? I'm hoping the storm is far enough east so that the game can play. But I think either way, by Sunday night, when a lot of people are trying to fly out, I think it's going to be like piss pouring rain and pretty gusty. And like, I don't know if they're going to be able to fly. Do you have a flight Sunday night?
Well, yeah, my flight's like 9 p.m. Sunday night. But DraftKings is paying for a hotel room Sunday night regardless. So I may be shifting my flight.
Yeah. I don't know yet. And even I never know, like, is an airport just gonna are they gonna fly through it? I don't really know. But the weather Sunday night is gonna suck. It looks
But you think there's a chance like the day game would actually get in?
I don't think we're totally out on the day game yet. We're like right on that cusp. By the afternoon, like by the late afternoon, I think it'd be trouble. But I think you might just have enough time to get that day game in before things really go downhill. We'll see. I don't know. We'll see. Yeah, please.
Yeah, one more question, because there's games in Dodger Stadium, in San Diego, and in Anaheim, all on the slate for Saturday night. Do you think that's safe?
For Saturday night? Yeah. That should be fine. I'll double check, but I think that should be fine. It's really late Sunday. And then I'm also kind of worried about like Monday. I think the games on Monday are, of course, Monday night. So by then the system should be gone. But there might be legit flooding that happens. And then, I don't know,
we're staying on the ocean. Like it's...
It's gonna be fine. It's just gonna be.
What could happen?
Yeah, what could go wrong? It's gonna be fine. Izzy said I wouldn't even go to the final in San Diego. Don't do that. That would be a mistake. Go and have fun. It's gonna be like an overnight storm. It'll be fine. All right, let's let's take questions. That's what I was supposed to do. We got 4 minutes until lock. And we'll go to 4 score. DK Cash, Tim, this is for you. Lindor O'Neill or Nimmo Edman?
The first one.
Okay. Aside says in FanDuel Cash, Squirrel, I'm coming to you here. Between Goldie, Alonso, and Walker, who's the odd man out, assuming you're playing 2?
Let's see. I would go with Walker and Arenado. Sorry, so it was Walker, Arenado, and Goldschmidt. I would go with Arenado and Walker.
Okay. North Carolina Big Hurt says, Tim, your favorite pitcher, FanDuel single entry. Squirrel, you can answer that next too. But Tim, favorite FanDuel single entry pitcher?
I'm still gonna go with Burns.
Okay. Squirrel?
I'll actually go with Zach Allen.
Nice. Okay, very good. Snowfighter says, crispy bacon or chewy bacon? How would you prefer your bacon? Tim, you cannot say like middle. You can't middle it. Chewy or crispy?
I'd go crispy.
Squirrel?
Crispy all the way.
I think I'm chewy. I don't like when it's like cracks when I bite it. Of course, the middle is the right answer, but I think I'd rather it chewy than crispy. Weirdo. What else do we got here? Nimmo or Yelich, Tim? Cash on DK.
Nimmo for cash.
Okay. Favorite stack in a GPP for single entry from Jeffrey Battaglia. Squirrel, your favorite entry in your favorite stack in a GPP single entry.
I might even go Milwaukee, even if it's single entry. But I think that's fine.
Okay.
That would be my answer too. If you want to go for all the money, I say go Milwaukee.
Nice. Okay. Hey, did you guys know NFL is basically here? I'm sure you did. In case you didn't, it is. And we are ready. We're more ready than ever. In fact, our team of experts, our suite of tools, we will handle the legwork. You can do less, win more this season. Get access to everything we've got to offer. Special discounted rate available only to those without a RotoGrinders subscription. You get a full season sub for $50 off. I suck at that read. You get the full season subscription for $50 off at a limited time only price of $375. The sale will end opening night of the season. Make sure you get it while you can. Practice makes perfect. I'll get better at that. We've got about a minute until lock. We have answered all of the questions. We'll hang out. If you got any questions, come with it. We got like 4 people typing in the RG Discord. If you haven't joined our RotoGrinders Discord, what are you doing? What are you doing? It's where we're all hanging out these days. It's like a big block party, and you're down the block. You're on the other block. You're on the wrong block. Come to the block party. Hang out with the RotoGrinders guys on the RG Discord. Here we go. A few QQs coming in. Internet famous DK single entry. Tim, Big Meat Pete or Walker?
I prefer Pete.
Okay. Jay Brunton, Stone Min, Jojo Romero breaks the slate in relief of Wayno.
I mean, we talked about that.
Yeah.
I don't think we agree on that take.
Kid Lightning, DKGPP says, Squirrel, Goldie Walker or Alonzo O'Neill? Thank you.
I go Goldie and Walker.
Okay. The Detox says, Roth is the Ohtani of food choices. You're damn right I am. Yeah. That's the greatest compliment I've ever received. Brian Underwood, DKGPP. Tim, do you prefer Pham, Carroll, or Yelich?
Yelich.
Griffin says, Tim, whale or shark? Pick one.
Shark.
Squirrel. We're just going to keep moving on. Squirrel, DKGPP. Goldie Walker or Alonzo O'Neill?
I just answered that question. I go with Goldie and Walker.
I'm sorry. He double dipped on me there. All right. Teo says, Squirrel, how do you feel about stacking San Diego in single entry?
Yeah, every stack is on the table. San Diego is definitely up there. Dodgers, Milwaukee. Everything's fine.
Did you guys know that a killer whale? I'm full of random ocean facts. It's like, other than meteorology and basketball, it is my third greatest skill. Did you know that a killer whale is not a whale at all? It's actually a type of dolphin. Squirrel's like, yeah, I did. Yeah,
Everybody does that.
yeah.
I didn't know that. I didn't know.
There
that.
you go. Yeah,
Yeah.
it is not. It is not. a whale.
I learned something today.
There you go. Good. Well, since I couldn't give you weather takes, you get oceanography takes. With that, Jerry says, how do you get in the RG Discord? Devin, dropping the link for you right there. It is easy peasy.
Discord's really awesome right now. So it's a lot going on in there. It's a lot of fun. So
yeah, we've got different channels depending on what sport you're in. So the conversation is kind of like tailored to what you want it to be. It's really, it's honestly, I'm a believer. I'm buying into it. I like it. We're gonna bounce on out of here. I got a date. I gotta get my Derek Carty on here, undo some buttons, and bounce on out of here. So for Squirrel, for Tim, for our wonderful production crew, for my guy Devin, always working hard behind the scenes, guys. We appreciate you. We love you, and we will catch you tomorrow. You have been crushed.